Number one was for us to ensure that we cause a new constitution for the netball governing body to be written. And the reason why we talk of a new constitution is because there's no federation as we speak. The moment government pulled the license of Uganda Netball Federation, it became unlawful for anybody to continue engaging in the name of UNF. And I think this has come up. Some people have been questioning why, we are proposing new names. Is because once the license for UNF was pulled, the law required that now you can no longer organize under that brand. So the very first term of reference was do a new constitution and cause elections to be held. And I think many of you have seen the draft constitution that we put out. We put this constitution out after a long consultation. And we noticed a lack of patience by many people, but we told them it takes a while to have a constitution done. We've got to consult the many stakeholders, as I'm sure you can appreciate. We've had to talk to athletes. We've had to talk to clubs, managers. We've had to engage World Netball itself, the government, several people. I'm sure you can tell who the stakeholders are. And so that first term of reference, our view is that we've made considerable steps. We have a special General Assembly on Saturday, the 21st of September at the Lugogo Open Door Stadium, indoor stadium. It starts at 9 o'clock, and we hope that the provisional members will review and approve the constitution. Provisional is very clear because the premise is that there is no federation. I think that should be very clear. We have a roadmap for holding of elections, and if you can give me a minute. Our current roadmap for holding of elections the Assembly, we will move into the elective process. We would like these elections to be held before October ends. I'll give you the final date and the actual roadmap before we leave. But basically, the roadmap that we've put out spells out the different stages that we will follow, and would like the elections to be held under the newly approved constitution as the guiding document. We will expect people to be nominated by a member who is in good standing, and for purposes of these coming elections, we would like a member in good standing or a club to have submitted the application for provisional membership, paid the process fees, also demonstrate that they are an active netball club that has been engaging. So those were the two, some of the two, the two terms of references to start with. Cause a constitution to be written, and then cause an election to be held. But also, World Netball tasked us to ensure that we continue running the activities of the federation. There are many people that have been questioning our mandate to do this, do the other, saying we should not do the league, we should not do. We're not very interested in running sporting activities, really, because it's involving. But we've also come to the realization that if you do not run sporting activities as a federation, then the sport continues to die. And I think many of you have noticed that in the past, when we consulted with clubs, they expressed concern that they were not playing anything. Players were sitting idle. They had no future. So let's make it very clear. The first thing is that we cannot operate under the old dispensation. We've had people pretending to have associations, this and the other. We don't know anybody right now. We're starting on a clean slate. People have been, posturing, threatening, causing, people to write about us. That's okay, because there's freedom of speech. But as the committee, we want to steer clear of these diversions. There's been many hurdles along the way. We are not interested in holding any elective positions. We are called upon by virtue of our expertise in administration and the other skill sets we bring on board to help bring normalization to the situation. So that's where we are. Perhaps the other thing is that we have consulted White and Far, and members are agreeable that, sporting activities should resume. There's no reason why they shouldn't. But of course, we've noticed that this is laced with a lot of politics and interest. We're not political actors. Our role is to ensure that we do a constitution, we cause elections to happen, but as this is going on, also ensure that the sport, in a way that, as far as practicable, the sport does not die. So it is on this account that we have had everybody to write to us and tell us, are you available to take part in the league or not? Obviously, we can't force anyone to participate in a league that they're not interested in. We've been discussing this, and you can see the go-slow approach, because it takes time to convince people. You talk to opinion leaders, you reach out to those that help you influence this and the other. And many people have understood that it's very vital that we have a level of resumption of sporting activities. As administrators, we are useless if athletes are not playing the sport that they love. And I think that's a principle that we should all remember. So, the league is coming. Sponsors are coming. But sponsors get shy when they see negative press. Many of them have been starting and stopping, saying, no, look, first sort out your issues. Because negative press spreads really like a wildfire. We've also had to confirm international engagements, because Uganda is ranked high. We're ranked 6th in the world. If we don't participate in international engagements, we'll lose our ranking. And I think you noticed last year or before, we had slipped to 7th, and we could slip further. So I think it also behooves us to ensure that our position is either maintained or improved. Our participation in the England series, in the England Cup earlier this year, helped to sort of propel us to where we are right now. But if we stay where we are, stay doing nothing, we will, I think, slip again. So in November, we're hoping to participate in the first 5. I think you've all seen the announcement. We are required to choose 10 players. Obviously, we're aware that if you don't have an active league, if you don't have, ongoing sporting activities, it's difficult to select. And yet we have to come up with some kind of modicum of selection. So we're going to select 10 players. And I think you all heard, we wrote to the Super League clubs, especially those that play First 5, to make some recommendations. And so we're in the process of tying that up, including determining the coaching team and who is going to support. We also have to go around to ensure that our corporate support chips in so that the national team is well facilitated. They need to get in camp. They need to get ready. We want to really keep our focus on these and not the other things that are bent on detracting. We also have to prepare for the Africa Cup. The Africa Cup is due in December in Namibia. The dates are yet to be confirmed, but we've been put on notice. Again, I think it's important that we participate in the Africa Cup. I think you recall when we were recently appointed, we couldn't organize a team because the time was very short. We have no reasons right now not to participate. Of course, the assumption is that we'll be able to mobilize the funding and the required resources. So Namibia, December, the details will come out. We really hope that we'll have support from government and other corporates so that we can also field a team. We've also been invited to take part in a follow-up series in England in February, like the one we had this year. The details are going to come out. We are still discussing with England Netball. It will again be a Four Nations Cup, and it will be preceded by an engagement with the Wales Netball, just like what happened earlier this year. In the process, we've managed to secure sponsorship with Gilbert. Gilbert has agreed to become our kit and other equipment sponsor for Uganda. And I think, as you'll be seeing, once we release the official competition, when you see Gilbert will be displaying on the dresses. But there are also other sponsors that are coming on board. We are hoping to wrap up a conversation we're having with Plascon and several others. So we think that as a normalization committee, we're on course. We don't want to go past this year before we wrap up our work. Basically, after the elections, I think what we'll be left with will be to provide a transitional support to the new executive. The elections will take place, I think, around the 26th of October. It is subject to change because we are, again, in consultations with World Netball, who should be here. But it's also important to understand that we would like the government to give us, some kind of guarantees that our elections will be recognized, because the new law has a requirement for us to have not less than 51% districts in Uganda participating in this in an elective assembly. Now, we have invited members to take part, and so far we have got 75 clubs that have written. 75 clubs have written, and we've noted that those 75 clubs represent only 30 districts. So you can see that there's a bit of work. So you don't want to have an election and then under the new law, you are told that it is not recognized. So you can see why this stakeholder engagement is important. But I think some of our people who have different intentions don't understand these details. But it's up to us also to explain to the world, what these things mean and what we're doing. So the purpose really today is for us to let you know that as a normalization committee, we are on course. Our term was due to expire in May this year, as you all recall. World Netball pushed it to August because it was affected by Olympics. Some of us were heavily involved in the Olympics. And World Netball has again said, you know what, let's have this term expire in December, 31st of December. So there's been 2 extensions by now. So just so you're aware. But that's where we are. I'm sure there are many questions that arise from this, and we're happy to entertain them. And please introduce yourself for the record so that before we answer your question, you had the question. Like we said, we came up with a draft after consulting members. So it's really not entirely ours. We put some ideas, and some of the ideas are based on good practice, best international practice, so to speak. There are some principles that one should not really have an issue with. Good governance is good governance. And the Constitution is meant to put in place a mechanism that ensures that you are accountable to the people you lead, that you basically, your leadership first of all, the people that are involved in governing, the governance institutions of an entity are all well explained, and that where one starts and stops is very clear. So, and that's the idea why we consulted, to hear what people think. And I think the controversies are not on many things, or rather contention. As usual, we know that people are looking out for elections, who is eligible to stand for this post. There are things that Netball didn't have. For instance, an athletes committee. Today's sporting management requires that athletes are involved. So we don't expect people to challenge the basic tenets of good governance. Unless, of course, like I said, if our members haven't understood. But we hope that it won't come to that. And I think the reason why we will be in a room is so that people can convince each other, that this is good for us, this will help to bring back our federation, this is good for the sport of netball. Yes. Let me clarify on the existence of UNF. UNF was registered. UNF is a registered trustee. And I think you all know the history. All federations were required to register with National Council of Sports using that form. So many of us exist in that form. So perhaps I was wrong to say it doesn't exist. It exists. Let me clarify that. The outfit called Uganda Netball Federation exists. It's a legal, duly registered entity. But they do not have a license to conduct activities of netball in Uganda. So let me clarify that so it's very clear. And because of not having a license, we cannot conduct anything under that brand. And that's why we've made it very clear to members that that brand, their brand, is badly damaged. And so that explains why we've had to consult on how you take it forward. So, in coming up with a proposal, first of all, this is a proposal, it is a suggestion. Netball Uganda is not yet in existence. What we put in existence is when members adopt a constitution under the new name. When you propose a new constitution, you have to propose a name also. So if people don't like the name, then they should propose an alternative. But we also noticed that many federations the world over are lately going by that naming convention. You can be Netball Uganda, Uganda Netball. It's the new convention rather than to have the whole something federation. This federation. If you have Uganda Netball Federation, it would be what we have today. So I think you have some registration issues as well. I don't know. But also because we indicated that this brand is very, very badly damaged, it's also good, I think, to make a break and have something that is completely different. So it's not as if and it was our recommendation, so people can take it or leave it. So I hope that's very clear, Abel. The federation, the outfit, UNF exists, only that they no longer can organize anything because that's the law. Secondly, the issue of education. Now, I know that, like I said, the Constitution has got many things, and you can see now where the laser focus is because we know the politics has started. But like I said, we are not political actors. We are here to make recommendation that's based on what consultations, our experience in leadership and management, and what can take people forward. So these recommendations arose after we spoke to different actors. And if I can read the specific recommendation, it says that a person is eligible to serve on the executive if that person, A, is a citizen. And of course you should be of age, and not above 70. And I think Johnson has raised the issue of where I think the requirements for national leadership are different from the requirements of sports leadership. A constitution is made by people that you know, it governs. And this stakeholder group is the one that is saying that this is what we're recommending. These are not entirely our ideas. We have some ideas. And by the way, you recall that we delayed to share our constitution. People are saying, give us they were demanding, and we said, we can't give you the constitution before we see your ideas. Give us your ideas, we shall put them inside, and then we shall share, which is what happened. But now, the dilemma is, there are many ideas, and you can't pack all of them here. So we will have a debate, article by article, article by article. You bring your ideas on the floor, we put it on the vote, and people decide. So that's how democracy works. So the issue of diploma in sports is just one of them. There's nowhere it says UOC, Mwase, or anything like that. It just says that for you to serve on the executive, you should have a minimum of a higher diploma. We'd actually started with a degree, and then we felt maybe that was too high, so it was reduced to higher diploma. But again, people can choose what they want. If they want O-level, if they want A-level, if they want PLE, it's the people, it's the people to determine. Right now, the recommendation is higher diploma. And please note, these are not, it is not us that are planting ideas on people. We have collected ideas from far and wide. And people will debate article by article. Are we ready for Fast 5? Of course we are not, but we want to be ready. We know that some people have been playing, you know, a little bit, maintaining fitness. We want to go in camp for about a month, and we hope that we'll be ready. I wouldn't say we're ready. One of our plans is to quickly call up, you know, the people that will have confirmed the 10 players. They actually have to be more than 10, from which then we shall select the final 10 that will travel to New Zealand. So as I said, you can see that the Constitution has got it has 24 articles, and it is a 47-page document. But you can see that the issues that people are now focusing on are these ones of, you know, who comes in, because we know the political tensions are now building up. But before October ends, there will be a new executive. You know, people were faulting us that we are slow, we are not doing what we are supposed to do. I don't know if they remember what our terms of reference are. That's where we started. Organize, do a constitution, organize elections, and run the other sporting activities. They keep saying we should not do other things. It is within our mandate, and I think those people, the ones who you have not defined, should know clearly that we are acting within our mandate. You have not defined them, so you have not an easy process. Members, you can hear me? Yeah. Like you said, people hold on to, and I think Mark Thomas put it very well, people hold on to things. If we have been UNF for many years, it's also difficult to let go of it. But please understand that this brand is really, really badly damaged. And this is something I didn't want to say, but let me say it now. Uganda Netball Federation is technically insolvent. When you are technically insolvent, it means that you are not a going concern. Their liabilities far outweigh their little known assets. One of the things that we're dealing with are creditors from the past. Because the other executive is not there, now we're having to deal with the brunt of all those things. Mabanja this, Mabanja that. So it's also not sustainable for the entity to continue existing. I think let this be very clear. If me as an individual, I have got debts that outweigh my known assets, that means that I should file for bankruptcy. That means that I'm not eligible to hold positions in society, and that is where UNF finds itself. So let me break down what it means by saying the brand is badly damaged. To continue trading as that same entity means that all those people are going to come after you and they will need you to repay their debts. Now, I cannot answer for those debts because I did not contract them. There are debts for office rent, there are debts for air tickets, there are all sorts of things which really should not be the subject of this conversation. But because those debts which have been recognized outweigh the assets, the little or known assets, it means that that entity is not a going concern. So I think let's be very clear. And I think this is maybe to break down what it means for that brand to be badly damaged. So the new law gives us an opportunity to start a fresh page. You start on a clean slate. And I think people have been asking, if there's no Uganda Netball Federation, then who is organizing the league? I think I explained from our terms of reference, our appointment letters from World Netball. Those letters of appointment indicated what we can do. It's where I started from, because the questions are always around our mandate. So who is doing this? Who are you? Mwebani? Yeah? And that's what also some stakeholders are asking. But we also understand that because we're outsiders, so to speak, you know, the people who have been playing the sport are likely to be a little bit apprehensive. That's understandable. So that's why we've had to engage the stakeholders, manage them. And we know there are not too many people that are making noise. There are not too many people. So we mean well. We have no hidden agenda. We are not political actors. In fact, our letters of appointment say that we are not eligible to run for political office. So everything is above board. But the reason why you need a new legal entity is because if you carry forward from the past, the problems of the past will follow you. They will follow you, and people, and I think somebody needs to explain. If I booked tickets to go where and they're not, somebody should answer for them. It shouldn't be us. We did not contract those debts. And yet we want, you know, the organization to continue somehow. So I hope this clarifies. But it's not as if we're imposing any. Regarding the league, it is true we wanted the league to happen earlier, but there was a lot of suspicion. I'm sure you noticed. Suspicion, people saying what, the company is coming, who is owning it. There are many things. So the first thing that we have indicated here in this presser is that the outfit called UNF cannot organize. So we, as a normalization committee, are the ones with the mandate to organize these things. Now, when you say some stakeholders wanted to organize, it is true they did. But we told them, who are you in this big picture? And I think you all understand. If we are no longer operating under the outfit of UNF, and yet people are coming with a UNF umbrella, it raises issues. And we've been very polite and very elaborate in explaining that that brand is no longer here with us. So we were not very amenable to having people that cannot fit within the ambit of the normalization committee organizing the league. But we recognize that the league will have to be played by those same people. So we've wanted to have, to meet each other midway. But what can't happen is for us to allow people that are not under the control of the normalization committee to do our work. It could happen if we have some kind of special arrangement, but there's no opportunity for us to put those things in place. And obviously the way it was being brought in a very hostile way, saying you can't organize this, you don't, and we said, look, we don't want to push back, but we cannot force you to participate in what you don't want, in what organizing. So now we wrote to everybody individual and we said, okay, can we see who is interested? And now some of those very people also said, okay, we're also interested. So now we are confused. But your first question is good. We should have had the league earlier, and the dates have been shifting. We've explained this time and again. We've had sponsors on board. Once they've seen some of the negative media that some people are putting out, they got shy. So we couldn't finance the league. That's a simple answer. So we had to go back on the drawing board. Every time Johnson Were or Olivia Who or somebody writes a negative story, people just call us and they say, you know what, let's wait. That's what happens, by the way, you should know. You write a story that people don't find palatable, the people who are to give us the money, they'll just go back and say, let's first hold on to our money. So that's what has happened, Kayanja. That's why we could not hold. You see, for us to run a league, we have a league budget, and if I tell you what it is, you might fall off your chair. We've had to scale it down so that it's also manageable. We don't want it to be over the top. So we've had to define that budget so it is possible to, to just start. Now, some people had said, okay, we shall give you some money so you can start in Mpola, build back. When the new team comes, we'll continue. And of course, we've had to get guarantees that, it does not start with us and end with us. It was a very good question. So the sponsors on board will be committing to stick around for the long haul, not for the period of the normalization committee. We're really acting in the interest of the federation to come. We're not acting in our own individual interest. And by the way, please remember, we are wearing the umbrella of World Netball. We're not doing things as individuals. On our committee, we have got representation from World Netball. So I want you guys to see us as World Netball. So people are in a way shooting against World Netball, which is very dangerous as well. Some of those stakeholders that you're referring to have been writing endless letters to World Netball, and they've come very close to kicking Uganda out. They've said that this mess is too much. I think let's first suspend Uganda completely, and then you can come back on the drawing board. And then we've said, no, please allow us to work with the stakeholders. We shall galvanize as much as we can. But please look at us as World Netball. And if you've seen our letterhead is on World Netball. This thing you just signed, have you seen? This is deliberate. It says World Netball. We don't have a letterhead that says Netball Uganda because that thing is not yet there. We are acting with the authority of World Netball, and that's how you should see it. The other question on Gilbert and how much. First of all, these sponsorship agreements, just so you understand, they usually have confidentiality clauses, so we can't talk too much into the detail. Otherwise, we'll have trouble. All of them, they say, we've sponsored you, but so we have to consult with them before we can, make a formal release. But also, I need to say, we haven't formally signed because we are sorting out our legal status as a federation.